Vietnam's economic journey is a fascinating blend of historical transformation, rapid growth, and modern challenges. Shaped by centuries of agriculture, and later redefined by both central planning and free market reforms, the country today is one of Southeast Asia's most dynamic economies. To understand this evolution, we must look at how Vietnam's economic foundation, driven by socialist principles, has adapted to market-oriented reforms and global integration. Historical foundations, from agriculture to industry. Throughout its history, Vietnam's economy was predominantly based on agriculture, with wet rice cultivation being the primary occupation for the majority of its population. For centuries, this agricultural focus not only sustained local communities, but also served as a cornerstone of Vietnam's social structure. Even today, while the country has modernized in many respects, agriculture remains an important part of the economy, employing a significant portion of the population. However, Vietnam's economic landscape began to shift dramatically after reunification in 1975. Following the war, the country's economy was shaped by the Communist Party of Vietnam, CPV, which introduced 5-year plans to guide national development. The government adopted policies of collectivization, where farms, factories, and other assets were nationalized, and millions of people worked for state enterprises. While this approach was intended to create a more egalitarian society, it led to inefficiencies, corruption, and underproduction in many sectors. The economy struggled under this model, compounded by the loss of aid from the Soviet Union after its collapse and the economic embargo imposed by the United States. The Doi Moi reforms, a turning point. Vietnam's economic fortunes changed dramatically with the launch of the Doi Moi renovation reforms in 1986. These reforms were the government's response to the country's economic stagnation. The 6th National Congress of the CPV marked a pivotal moment in Vietnam's history as it moved away from a purely state-controlled economy and began to embrace market-oriented reforms. The socialist-oriented market economy model, introduced through Doi Moi, encouraged private ownership in industry, commerce, and agriculture, while restructuring state-owned enterprises to function under market constraints. The shift from rigid central planning to a more flexible, market-based approach resulted in a remarkable period of economic growth. Between 1990 and 1997, Vietnam's economy grew at an impressive rate of about 8% annually. This growth trajectory continued into the 2000s, turning Vietnam into one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. The reforms also opened the door to foreign investment, and exports became a significant driver of the economy. Global integration, WTO membership, and trade. Vietnam's economic liberalization culminated in 2007 when it joined the World Trade Organization, WTO, signaling its full integration into the global economy. WTO membership brought both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, Vietnam gained access to international markets, and its exports surged, particularly in key sectors like agriculture, textiles, manufacturing, and electronics. On the other hand, the pressures of global competition forced Vietnam to modernize its industries and improve its economic policies. Vietnam's entry into the WTO came on the heels of the lifting of the U.S. trade embargo in 1994, which had restricted the country's access to key markets. The United States quickly became one of Vietnam's largest trading partners, importing a wide range of goods, from electronics to clothing. China, another important partner, also played a key role in Vietnam's economic growth, although the relationship with China has been complex, particularly regarding imports. Economic growth and social equity. One of the most remarkable achievements of Vietnam's economic reforms has been the significant reduction in poverty. The percentage of the population living in deep poverty, defined as living on less than $1 per day, has declined dramatically, positioning Vietnam as a leader in poverty reduction within Southeast Asia. Unlike some rapidly developing nations, Vietnam has managed to combine high economic growth with relatively equitable distribution policies, which include egalitarian land distribution, investments in remote and poor regions, and subsidies for education and healthcare. While these policies have helped lift millions of people out of poverty, the rapid pace of economic development has also led to increasing income inequality in certain areas. The gap between urban centers like Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, where growth is most visible, and rural provinces like Ha Giang and Lai Chau, which remain underdeveloped, is growing. The challenge for Vietnam moving forward will be to maintain its growth while ensuring that the benefits are more evenly spread across the country. Industrial growth and key sectors. Today, Vietnam's economy is driven by a variety of sectors, including manufacturing, information technology, and high-tech industries. Vietnam has become a key player in the global supply chain, producing goods ranging from smartphones to apparel. Major international companies have established operations in Vietnam, attracted by the country's relatively low labor costs, improving infrastructure, and strategic location in Southeast Asia. Vietnam is also a relative newcomer to the oil industry, yet it has quickly become the third largest oil producer in Southeast Asia. Although the country's oil production has declined somewhat in recent years, its importance to the national economy remains significant. In 2010, Vietnam was ranked as the 8th largest crude petroleum producer in the Asia-Pacific region, contributing to its export revenue. Challenges: corruption and economic reform. Despite its remarkable economic progress, Vietnam faces several challenges that could hinder its future growth. Corruption remains a persistent issue, particularly in state-owned enterprises and the public sector. The Vietnamese government has acknowledged this problem and has taken steps to address it, but corruption levels remain above the global average. Additionally, the country's legal and regulatory framework still lags behind international standards, particularly in areas such as administrative reform, labor training, and land planning. Another challenge is the public debt that has accumulated due to infrastructure investments and other government expenditures. Managing this debt while continuing to invest in critical areas such as education, technology, and infrastructure will be key to sustaining Vietnam's long-term economic growth. The future: sustaining growth and global ambitions. As Vietnam looks toward the future, the focus is on sustaining its economic momentum while addressing some of the underlying challenges. The government continues to invest in infrastructure, with a particular emphasis on improving transportation and energy systems. Additionally, Vietnam is looking to further develop its high-tech and digital economy sectors, with an eye on becoming a regional leader in technology and innovation. Tourism is another sector that has seen significant growth, contributing to the national economy. Vietnam's rich cultural heritage, beautiful landscapes, and relatively low costs have made it an increasingly popular destination for international visitors. In 2015, the country recorded nearly 8 million foreign visitors, a number that is expected to grow as Vietnam further develops its tourism infrastructure. Conclusion: Vietnam's economic transformation is a testament to the power of market reforms combined with careful state planning. From a predominantly agricultural society to a dynamic economy integrated into the global market, Vietnam has made remarkable strides in just a few decades. While challenges such as corruption, inequality, and public debt remain, the country's resilience and commitment to reform suggest that Vietnam is well-positioned to continue its growth. As Vietnam navigates its future, its ability to balance social equity with economic progress, embrace globalization, and invest in the next generation of industries will determine the next chapter of its economic story. With its rich history, hardworking people, and strategic location, Vietnam's journey is one that will continue to captivate the world's attention.